at least when I retire, I have something I retire with. That is the surprise for this year. Namu, awabariki.
Here was a stern-looking Stanley, accompanied by Okunyanyi means one who chews without fear or favor in the Luhya language.
Go straight to the point.
And straight to the point he went. It was about what some call the Pentagon. What did the Pentagon members do?
They were accompanied by some of their supporters to plead with me to step down.
After all the bleeding, although I think he means pleading, what did Stan do?
I categorically rejected his request.
That will pass. But just because he's Mr. Moneybags, Stanley's stance didn't please.
Honorable Fred Gumo, who is Honorable Raila's cousin, became
hysterical, sir, hysterical. But that's history. Let's move on. The Pentagon was not done with Stanley.
Desperately and unshamefully tried to bribe me.
And what did you do?
I instead jokingly offered to give them double.
That must have been a joke worth millions. But seriously, what's the problem?
The humiliation and frustrations caused by 15 years of wanton, reckless, and visionless leadership, which has led to the neglect of the poor.
Wow, that is scary.
I'm not scared.
We were not scared either. So we thought we could ask brave Livondo some questions. How much were you offered, sir?
He will tell you. They will tell you.
Agreed. About your money, sir. They say you have lots. How do you make it?
That's not a question.
Your business, sir.
Another question.
Livondo can't say, won't say.
I cannot accept anything.
Livondo has refused. But there was no refusing here. It was like the return of the prodigal son.
Hata wewe ulikuwa life member wetu wa chama hii yetu ya KANU.
Yes, and he remembered that Tingiza and the accompanying song.
Oh, KANU, yajenga KANU, KANU,
Nostalgic and a bit of history.
Ulisema ya kwamba KANU ni kama mugumo, haiwezi kukatwa na wembe.
Naughty, naughty boy. What can Baba say?
Sina maneno mengi manake haiwezekani.
Remember, it's you who said yote yawezekana.
Na mimi sikufikiria KANU watakuja tufanye kazi pamoja na vile imewezekana.
Now you know, and there's more to discover. This electioneering period is going to bring out the best in some. For example, just watch the men from the coast. They seem to have learned from the best. Is it the physical lessons they get? Or could it be that Makwere, who I suspect on the dance floor is called Max, watches the beat religiously? Easy Makwere, easy. And here was Zorro. That's what happens when the mask of Zorro is removed. And by the way, Kalembe Ndile's Tea Party's symbol is a three-legged stool.
Inaitwa wise man's stool.
His wisdom tells him his first assignment is to intercede for Julia and Kalonzo.
Kwa sababu chama changu ni cha kutetea haki, tunaomba hii ODM irudishie Kalonzo na Julia pesa. Hawa ni watu ni maskini hawa. Kwanza Julia sijui kama hiyo pesa alichanga kutoka wapi. Maana mimi namuona ni ana shida.
Will he succeed?
Unajua watu wananichukulianga hivi tu.
Tell us more.
Unategemea huyu amesoma zaidi ati ni amesomea political science ati ni professor wa agriculture. Ni nani hawezi panda mahindi na maharagwe?
Does that mean he has abandoned the quest for a degree?
Mimi sikatai watu wakisoma wasome zaidi. Mimi vile naendelea na masomo na hizo madegree zao ndakuwa nazo.
Politics, bringing out the best. So Baba did his tingiza and Mama number 1 too did hers. These are interesting times. Emmanuel Juma, Bullseye, NTV.
It first happened in Kakamega. His off-road vehicle, reportedly with 2 million shillings, raced to the ground. Next was Kibera, where he announced he would take on Raila Odinga for the Langata seat. Violence followed him. Hardly 2 weeks later, he was back. The violence not far behind. In between, the money. He became known as Mr. Moneybags for his generosity. And above all, his flamboyance. But all this appears to be catching up with Mr. Moneybags. The latest incident, in which one person was shot dead and 2 others injured in Hamisi, is beginning to raise eyebrows. Usually oozing of confidence, Livondo, who called the press this afternoon to clear the air, was a far cry from Mr. Moneybags. He appeared nervous and shaken. He now says it was an attempt on his life.
Clearly, the bullet was meant for me.
He claimed several bullets were fired at his direction.
I heard gunshots, followed by several others.
The Langata aspirant says it is still not clear who shot the dead man and is now requesting for extra security as some in government rally behind him.
Livondo has been the victim of all kinds of schemes to harm him in the constituency where he wants to contest.
And 5 minutes after he walked in, he ends abruptly, refusing to take any questions.
Good. Welcome to this press conference. This is my wife, Lucy, and I want to state something that I've wanted you to hold dear and permanently in your heart. You know, and I know, and everybody else knows that I'm married and I have only one wife. And everyone in Kenya knows it. But the media keeps repeating about my having another wife or wives. I want to make it very clear that I have only one dear wife, Lucy, who's here, and I do not have any other. And anybody who knows me and knows my family and knows how I live, they know I have only one wife. And they do not expect any dispel or any diversion from the reality of life by people telling lies. So, ladies and gentlemen, I decided to make it public and to appeal to you, the public, to listen to what I say and not to continue dispelling lies all over the place. It does not help anyone, anywhere, and it cannot be anywhere nearer the truth, since the truth is known. I have also had to say, I have only my 4 children. You know their names. I don't have to repeat them. But in case you don't know, you can ask me. I'll tell you. Or you can ask any of them. They can tell you. But seriously, it is not possible for me to go on and on repeating this same thing when you people in the media, for some foul reason, love to publicize uongo, and it is without the truth. I've also said that I have relatives who are from my family and who are known, but not any other people. All I would like to appeal to you is to listen to what I do say and to tell everybody the truth. And that is what will help in this country. Now, I've gotten into this very foul mood, for after listening yesterday before or day before some statement which gave stories. I don't want to repeat, but I want to say quite frankly, anyone who is bent on that course, he'll see me in court or wherever he will see me, and we shall deal with him. No other way whatsoever, for the reason that there is no genuine purpose for people wanting to continue to spread lies about myself, because I don't have such lies around myself. I don't have. So, ladies and gentlemen, ask any question you want to ask me. I'm happy to reply to them.
Ask now or never. From here you go right more lies. I'll be with you. Now is the president.
Mr. President, my name is Newton from KTN.
That's okay.
Is the basis of this, the genesis of this whole story?
I do not know. That's exactly precisely why I feel pain.
Yes, you KTN. Are you from KTN?
I don't have any reason. I don't. And I don't have any reason why anyone would want to continue.
Ask another.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions you can ask? Anybody?
Yes, ask now. And from now on, continue the truth. Hurting us, the president did not say that. You have been tormenting us. I don't know what to get out of it. You, KTN, I nearly came to your studios last night to attack you the way I did in the nation. I saw you listening to somebody called Moite talking about the president. Telling lies, covered by so many people. You, foreign journalists, ambassadors, name them, all of them, listening to Moite's lies. The president might not take him to court. Me and my family will not take him to court over that issue. Go tell him that.
Thank you, Santi.
In the second week of February 2001, a Gazette notice appeared in the local dailies. Not many Kenyans took note of its importance. The issue would come back to haunt the country 8 years later. Then Environment Minister Francis Nyenze had given a 28-day notice of intention to de-gazette 10% of Kenya's public forests. Immediately, critics' attention was drawn to the Mao.
The reason why I've given the Gazette notice is to tell Kenyans, look, I intend to do this. What is your reaction? My objective is to save the same forests.
It's only fair. Places like those should be formally gazetted.
On the 22nd of February 2001, An incensed Parliamentary Committee on Environment summoned Nyenze and the then Lands Minister Joseph Nyaga to explain their actions.
Most of what we are excising is not forested. The forest cover was cleared long time ago.
There are people opposed, but there are millions of Kenyans who are supporting it.
According to Nyenze, the forest land would be given to squatters. But to many critics, this move was a gimmick by the Moi regime to win support in the general election that was then just 34 months away.
We are not dealing with forests, some of them that have been settled a long time. We are dealing with some that are being demarcated.
Very few forested areas will be affected.
Critics also pointed out a similar move by the same government 10 years earlier, when it hived off the Ndadi settlement in Tana River, ostensibly to settle the very squatters who were now to be sent to the Mau forest. On the 28th of February 2001, the Parliamentary Committee engaged Nyenze in a heated debate that lasted more than 4 hours over the proposed allocation of 167 acres of forest land. Then, the notion was that the 20,000-strong Ogiek community living at the edge of the Hombe forest would face extinction. Few thought that within a decade, the situation would be threatening the very existence of the country. The Parliamentary Committee decided to file a notice of objection. This would effectively suspend the Gazette notice until the matter had been fully examined by Parliament. But they were in for a surprise. The Moi administration ignored all pleas and submissions and went ahead to divide the forest. But instead of the government resettling the squatters, first, the land was allocated to powerful individuals.
There are senior people in government and senior politicians in this country who own chunks of land in that forest. And the government should move in and tell us who owns what in that forest.
They in turn sold off the land to unsuspecting buyers in some cases.
The title deeds that these people claim to have been issued with are illegal and fraudulent.
Perhaps the surviving members of that government, Joe Nyaga, who was Lands Minister and now Cooperatives Minister, could shed some more light. Robert Nagila, NTV.
The Mau forest has been at the center of controversy since the government kicked out squatters who were settled here during the Kanu regime. Their removal has by large been politicized, with a section of former Kanu leaders taking the blame for settling families on gazetted forest land. The families have been promised a number of times that they would be resettled. First, the Kibaki administration, while drumming up support for the banana cause, promised to resettle the families and then followed ODM during the campaigns leading to the last general election. And so Prime Minister Raila Odinga was here to seek answers to the problem responsible for the animosity between the Maasai and Kipsigis communities settling around the forest. Before settling to address anxious families still smarting from the violent evictions, the Prime Minister's delegation flew over the forest to assess the extent of damage to the catchment area. A section of leaders who were in government when part of the forest land was dished out came under fire from the community leaders who spoke here.
Hakuna siku moja hiyo watu waliambiwa hii shamba umenunua ni mbaya. Alafu 2005 County Council akaingia.
In what appeared like a carefully balanced approach, the leaders agreed to compensate with alternative land families with genuine title deeds.
Sheria mpya inasema ya kwamba communities ambao wanakaa karibu na misitu ndio watakuwa watu wa kwanza kulinda hiyo misitu.
Na hii msitu ambaye tunaongea juu yake kwa sababu ikiendelea vile inaendelea na kuisha na kumalizwa, ni kusema hata maji hapa itakosa, kutakuwa ukosefu wa maji.
Wale ambao hawana title deeds ambao wako kwa misitu, hao ndio pia tunataka tuwe na masikizano. Hakuna mtu ambaye atavurugwa. Hatutaki ile njia ya zamani ya kutoa watu kwa bunduki ama kwa kulazimisha kupigwa, kuchoma manyumba, hayo hatutaki. Lakini tutakuja hapa kusikizana vizuri, tukae pamoja na mzee kama bora ambao tulimuona hapa, tusikae pamoja.
Kama mtu aliuzia wewe shamba ambayo iko ndani ya msitu ambayo sio part ya group ranch, sasa sisi tunataka tukubaliane ya kwamba hiyo title deed yako ambayo umepewa ndani ya shamba, umesema si makosa yako, lakini tukutafutia wewe mahali nyingine. Sawa? Sawa? Sasa ati ya kwamba mtu ambaye ameuzia shamba kimakosa ndani ya msitu, tumtafutie shamba pale lingine. Tunaelewana? Maana yake wale ambao wako nje upande hii ambao mnijua sio ndani ya forest, hakuna chochote kitafanyika.
The decision comes at a time when hundreds of families evicted 3 years ago had begun trickling back to the forest. From here, the Prime Minister and his team flew out to Nakuru for a closed-door meeting to recap a busy day at the Mau. Elected leaders have been trading accusations over the confusion in the Mau forest, some demanding that it was time to fulfill resettlement pledges made by both ODM and PNU during their campaigns now that both of them are in government. Richard Chacha, NTV Tonight.
Tulinde tuzilinde. Tulinde tuzilinde.
Fresh from the ongoing climate talks in Copenhagen and straight into an informal opinion polling, the subject matter, the Mau Forest Complex and the ongoing efforts at restoring it. The Prime Minister, who has been tasked with spearheading the implementation of the government policy on the Mau, has been under attack, especially from members of his own party. But today, the two principals were closing ranks on this sensitive and crucial issue.
We have taken decisive measures to conserve the 5 main water towers of Mau, Cherangani, Mount Kenya, Mount Elgon, and the Aberdares.
Nataka sisi tuhifadhi misitu zetu kwa kupanda miti mingi zaidi. Tuache kuharibu miti, kukata hovyo na kuchoma makaa.
The Mau issue has had far-reaching and near-fatal implication for the Prime Minister's party, leading to a very public split with his former close ally William Ruto. A rebellion within the PM's party over this issue threatens the unity of the party, but the Prime Minister, it seems, is not about to change his stand.
Kule Mau, wenzetu wengine wametoka mzituni. Wale ambao wametoka ni ile samaki ndogo ambayo inaitwa omena. Na hawa sisi tutawasaidia kwenda kujenga mahali ingine. Lakini kuna mbuta. Bado iko. Na hiyo ndio mbuta ndio inapiga kelele ambayo mnasikia. Hiyo mbuta siku yake itafika.
Indeed, some of those who are believed to own property within the complex, former President Moi included, have been skeptical about the outcome of the process of reclaiming the Mau. The President did use his Jamhuri speech to give a scorecard of the government's performance in this year, but there is no denying that the twin issues of constitution review and the environmental conservation debate will be coming with the government into the next year. Brenda Mulinya, NTV, Nairobi.
Despite the Mau reforestation program being mired in controversy before it had even kicked off, the event was well attended. And they came from all walks of life, with the sole purpose of reclaiming Mau's catchment.
Na tukimaliza haya yote mtaona kama wale ambao walikuwa wanapiga kelele wote watakuja kubaliana na sisi ya kwamba hii kazi ilikuwa inahitajika ifanyike.
Apart from President Mwai Kibaki, those conspicuously absent were Finance Minister Uhuru Kenyatta and Agricultural Minister William Ruto. Representing the corporate sector, Nation Media Group CEO Linus Gitai stressed the importance of conserving the Mau.
we, all of us, are guilty, because whether it is me or my brother or my cousin or my neighbor, we have all participated in destroying this environment. We must take this opportunity to do our bit in conserving the environment.
Several leaders backed the Prime Minister's initiative, urging their colleagues to stop politicizing the Mao issue.
Msitu wa Mao si siasa ya ODM ama PNU, ni future ya nchi yetu. Na kwa hivyo tusicheze siasa na mambo ambayo yatatusaidia hapo miaka ya usoni.
Tusiangalie mambo ya mazingira kama ni siasa. Na tusiangalie Prime Minister kama ni siasa anafanya.
Sisi hapa siku ya leo, waziri mkuu na wageni wako, umeweza kuona sura ya Kenya nzima. Kumaanisha kwamba wewe ni mtu wa Kenya wote. Kumaanisha kwamba mambo ya mazingira inagusa wa Kenya wote.
Nimefurahi sana kwa Prime Minister kuja kuzindua huu mpango mpya wa kupanda miti. Anasaidia mimi kufanya kazi.
Prime Minister Raila Odinga says he's been misunderstood by some of his colleagues in government, stressing the Mao issue had nothing to do with politics.
Mambo ya mazingira haitaki siasa. Sisi tumekuja hapa sio kwa sababu tuko wana siasa, lakini kwa sababu sisi ni watumishi ya wananchi wa Kenya.
Raila pointed out future generations and the prosperity of the country were intertwined with environmental conservation. Well, they tried to stay away from politics, but it was always not going to be possible. However, it did not overshadow the importance of conserving the Mao. And if today's show is anything to go by, then it is clear the Prime Minister has support in his efforts. Robert Nagila, NTV.
He has been accused by some of his parliamentary colleagues of insincerity and doublespeak over the Mao Forest controversy. But today, Raila was not holding back his punches. He says cabinet ministers opposed to the Mao evictions should stop playing to the public gallery and engaging in politics.
Task force report is going to be presented in the cabinet, and I would urge them to raise those issues in the cabinet instead of discussing these issues outside in the public.
The Prime Minister said opponents of the Mao conservation plan were irresponsible as they were inciting people.
The people are being incited by irresponsible politicians who are greedy for power. And we will say that the government will not be blackmailed.
Raila drew the bedrock of his support from the Rift Valley during the 2007 elections. But he says he is ready to pay the political price for the sake of the Mao forest.
We cannot allow a few individuals to transform this country into a desert merely because we want to be popular, merely because we want political support in the future.
The report by the task force on the Mao forest has not been made public, but sources indicate that it has named the big fish who grabbed land in the forest and sold it to third parties.
Some of them are still holding them in names of proxies. So they themselves have not declared their interests.
The previous regime was blamed for contributing to environmental degradation.
We are cleaning up the mess that they created. And they are the ones who stand at the top of the roof to shout about the government not being considerate about the people and so on and so forth. I'm saying it is politics of hypocrisy. Hypocrisy of the highest order.
The Prime Minister is very emphatic. He says the government will not allow what he calls politics of brinkmanship and ethnicity to derail its efforts in conserving forests. Indeed, he is ready to put his career at risk in what he believes is the greatest good for the greatest majority. Patrick Amimo, NTV, Nairobi.
What you think about that?
I can tell you is this. Every single leader here, I can take to The Hague. Mark my word. I have it right here. And I'm saying, come, baby, come. So when I decide in a 500-page not to speak about what ODM did in the PEF, they should thank me and kneel before me and kiss my feet. You understand? That is how angry I am when I see some people running around like idiots. The strategy Mwite was talking about, 41 against 1, was delivered in my presence. And I challenged it. I have the writing. I even have the strategy in writing. And it is not even detailed in the book. And a stupid idiot is running around town saying that they can take me to court. Come, baby, come. You know, I feel for that young man because I had noticed him working on the corridors. He was cleaning. He was a general cleaner. And people told me he was a very honest young man working very hard. So I said, well, I think this man could be hired, you know, by the government. You know, he's very dedicated. He's working hard. He's trying to raise a family. So I asked him, would you like to work for the government? And he said, yes. So I said, would you like to work for me? He said, yes. So I submitted his name, they accepted him, and he joined me. Within 1 month, they had fired the young man. Without any, they fired him, not because he did anything, just because they wanted to get rid of me and everybody else that was working for me. Now, that is what you have to ask. If you are still even quibbling about, oh, maybe he did something, well, how about these people? That just shows you that everything they have said is just baloney. Because how come they fired everybody? You know why? Because they couldn't turn against their boss. They couldn't be conscripted to tell lies. I was trying to answer the question, why have you written this book? And why did you time it now? Now somebody is saying, oh, he's angry. Why shouldn't I be angry? You know, anger, like happiness, is human emotion. If one is only happy and never angry, that is not a normal human being. That person should go and be checked up by either a psychiatrist or a psychologist, because that's not proper human emotion. There is time to be angry, there is time to be sad, there is time to be happy, there is time for everything. And I tell you, if you come and step all over me, and you expect me not to be angry, and you expect me to kiss you, think again. I don't do that kind of thing. Now I ask myself, if I'm in an environment where there is a lot of corruption, where there is a lot of illegality, why am I the one to resign when I'm not involved? I mean, really, you should be asking, why don't these people resign and be fired and be taken to court? I mean, why are you asking me? Why don't you ask, why isn't Izahakia in court? When this is public knowledge, this is public knowledge. Just last week, he signed himself an audited report. Izahakia. He signed himself a report saying that he was involved in corruption. He acquired National Housing Corporation houses illegally. He admitted himself. And yet, he's still the Prime Minister's permanent secretary. And then, last year, PLO Lumumba announced that Izahakia had given him houses he had acquired illegally 19 years ago in Woodley Estate. And that because he returned those houses voluntarily, he's been forgiven. Now, why would you have that person as a permanent secretary? I can go on and on about other examples, but I'm just giving you two. And you are asking yourself, the guy is saying he's clean like cotton. He's the most reformist candidate in the country. You ask yourself, so out of all these Kenyans, this is the best you could get? And even after he has admitted to stealing public assets, you can't let him go, and the man is over 65 years of age? Listen, if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it is a duck. We don't need 1 billion shillings to be stolen. We just need 1 cent. There is no reason why anybody should steal even 1 cent that belongs to the public. So, I want this book to walk and to quack and to speak. And I thank everybody for attending the launch.
I guess
he is a man who has been under siege quite lately, with his adversaries threatening a censure motion against him in Parliament. But Mutula Kilonzo is saying intimidation is the last thing that can ever work against him. His position still stands. Bold, straight to the point, and not mincing his words. Justice and Constitutional Affairs Minister says Uhuru Kenyatta's name and that of Eldoret North MP William Ruto cannot feature in the ballot paper in the coming general election.
They can't, I'm afraid. You can do as many opinion polls. You can interrogate this to the top of Mount Kenya. You can go to the Indian Ocean all the way to the bottom with a submarine. The fact of the matter is that you cannot be accused of crime against humanity and within the same locality seek to lead the same humanity.
It is a stand that Mutula maintains he has taken not because he's against anyone's ambitions, but by reading the law of the Republic of Kenya. Mutula says the censure motion that a section of MPs had planned against him had no basis, terming it a cowardice move.
And to imagine somebody would want to attempt to censure me for expressing an opinion on my docket, I was eagerly awaiting it. I'm very disappointed that they don't have the courage to follow through with their threats and intimidation and intolerance. I was looking forward to the motion, but the fact that they gave up even before they started is also a message to me.
Some MPs allied to William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta took an issue with Mutula, saying he's not fit to be in the cabinet owing to his past character.
If the Minister for Justice is involved in a tax evasion amounted to 350 million Kenya shillings, then Chapter 6 of the current Constitution binds that he stepped aside. And if a motion is brought and the facts are put on the table, I'm going to support it.
I've never evaded tax. In fact, that is also another item I was hoping it could feature, because I would like to hear some of them how much taxes they've paid, whether they are comparable to mine.
Mutula is a member of parliament on ODM Kenya ticket and also its Secretary General, but the party changed its name to Wiper Democratic Movement, whose leader Kalonzo Musyoka has been associated with the political alliance called G7.
I'm not a member of G7 because I don't understand it. I wasn't there when G1 was formed, or G2, or G3, or G7, and I don't know how far the arithmetic will go.
It is not clear if Mutula's relationship with the Vice President is still the same following the recent events, but the VP has denied allegations that he had asked the President to sack Mutula. Aaron Cheng, KTN Prime.
There's a stranger here called Mongara who wants to say something.
I am not a stranger. I want to speak on behalf of the Kenyan people. Your Excellency, the Ambassador of the United States of America, you know, when you're on this ground, you're going to have an accent, you know what I'm saying? Your Excellency and the people of Kenya, we want to say it is a big day for us and for all of us. The victory of Obama, and the ambassador spoke of the partnership of Kenya and the United States. I want to assure him that where Obama came from, they are more like Obama. So, as our Honorable Minister here asks for the travel advisory, we want to request that Kenyans, this visa thing, man, you gotta do something. And yes, he can. And yes, he can. So our brothers in Minnesota, our brothers in Texas, Dallas, Iowa, and Illinois, we are coming. We are coming, we are coming. Yes, Ambassador. So, finally, I want to say, where is Elizabeth? Where is Elizabeth? Where is Elizabeth? Don't worry, where is Elizabeth? Can you see come here? And the matter. Come here, madam. You know, Makisi. Yes. Now, this is what I was saying, and I will say a request to young men and women of the world. This is quiet. Young Kenyans, please cross the boundaries. Get married to Americans. You never know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, have a good time now. Please continue having a great time. There's food and drink for you, and we appreciate your being here.
Good. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Good. We can.
Thank you.
Take care.
That's you.
That is me.
That is you, Nyambani. Listen.
Julius Yabani.
Hi, how are you?
Yes, yes.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Listen,
yes.
Sweet Love playing in the background, Wahoo.
Yes.
You're being manhandled.
Yes.
They're saying Asanteni Sana, Tunashukuru Wahoo. What were you doing? What were you doing there? Where? Yeah.
Music is to be enjoyed. Okay. And so when Wahoo, the winner of Mama Africa, went in the stadium, she's my fellow musician.
Yeah.
So of course the music I was there like this.
Okay. You were going to dance.
I was going to dance.
Okay.
But I think it was a good mistake. I think.
Right.
So I am okay.
You've never listen. You are one of the people that has visited President Moi in his hospital bedroom.
Yes.
Has access. You know, you went before the Goldenberg Commission and gave them files when they said our files are missing.
Socks.
Yes, you gave him a pair of socks.
Yes.
So what was going on Jamhuri Day? What happened?
Jamhuri Day, I think it's a problem. And it's a problem that the president should address. Mimi kama mwananchi of Kenya, when something like that was happening to me, the president should have said, wait a minute, what are you doing there?
Tunamjua yule.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, me, I know him, we know each other. He's the president.
Yeah.
But you obvious, kima yake kunyamaza is a question that I'm worried.
So do you feel maybe there's a change of mood, there's a change of approach in terms of the government and the way it treats the media?
I think the government is obvious. When they needed us to go to parliament, walikuwa please Woye, Julie, baby Nyambane, yes, okay. Now they are there, I have remembered, now they have arrived, so they have nothing to do with us. But let me tell you where the problem is.
Yes.
In this country, there is no opposition.
Right.
Because we only have one grand coalition. Therefore, there is no opposition. And therefore, the only opposition is me and you who are telling the country what is happening.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
I'm trying to be the devil's advocate today and give the different perspective.
Yes,
in what country would you be given access to the presidential podium without expecting the security to jump on you?
Let me tell you this.
Yes.
I was not the armed.
Right.
Bunduki. Okay? If I walked in front there, the president know me, prime minister know me, Karoncho Musyoka should look at my uniform, he knows I'm in his ministry, he knows me. They should have said, that is Nyambane, why are you harassing him? Let him come to Nimwasalimie. What is the point in Mwambie Muse? Talk to us. There's a problem. Don't ignore.
Let's come to that now, because you're normally very smartly dressed. Interesting
you,
colors. No, today you're oddly dressed.
Yes.
And you were dressed like this on Friday. So what is that about, and what message do you have? You didn't get a chance on Friday. We're giving you that chance.
The message is very clear. Someone is not listening to us. Unga. Look at, for example, Unga. Even Moi for 24 years, hata kama tunasema alikuwa mchinga, alijua kwesi ugusa unga. Don't touch what tunakula unga na sukuma, unga na nyama, unga na supu, unga na chapa. Don't touch unga. And whenever one is saying unga, must tuwachie. The president is ignoring the cry of the people.
So what you're saying is, no matter what we say about the Moi regime, and many things are said about the Moi era, that the price of unga was always at least affordable to the Mwananchi.
Exactly. And that is how it shouldn't be. Hatutaki mungetunyima barabara, siwezi enda Kisii in one go. It's okay, I have no problem. Naenda Kisii in 8 hours. Lakini niwachie nikifika nipate unga ya kukula. That's all. We don't have an opportunity as Kenyans kufanya hizo deals wanafanya. Wanasema they don't want middlemen. Unga inapitia huyu, naenda kwa huyu, naenda kwa huyu, naenda kwa huyu, naenda kwa huyu, kitambo kufikia.
They have not done enough. The prices have come down, but it's not enough.
Surely, let me ask you.
Yes.
Do you think the people of Ruto voted him to go and become a minister? They voted for Ruto to represent them. Not to go and say, Messi akuje kutusikia pagi atini ya 130. No.
Listen,
no.
We have to wind up. What is your final word? What is your final word on the way forward? My final word is, the politicians, and I'm talking to them, this is not January when you divided us as Kenyans for your own goods. This is us Kenyans talking to you. Pay taxes, rutisha unga chini, na respect the care of the people. Thank you. Apati ya mugweli, chichaumia. Polisi wangu niumisa. I am very very. Thank you very much.
Nachaka hapo kiende.
Wait, Ketitu, please. No, just sit down. Thank you very much. Just sit, yes, please watch the TV. So pertinent points raised.
Multimedia University here in Nairobi. The National Alliance delegates were here not to nominate the Jubilee Alliance presidential candidate as it had been planned before things went sour Monday, but they were here to give the way forward for the party.
Saa hii kama ni madelegates wa Costi waonane na Uhuru uko Costi, ili tuweze kumpangia siasa huko.
When the principals of the Jubilee Alliance penned and sealed the pact on the 4th of December, what was not included in the deal that brought into the initial Uhuruto deal the United Democratic Forum is how the coalition could nominate their presidential candidate. But as the alliance grappled with formulating a framework for picking the man who will battle for the presidency, a secret deal was signed between TNA's Uhuru Kenyatta and UDF's Musalia Mudavadi that will see Mudavadi handed the coalition's presidential ticket. But Uhuru says he was coerced into the agreement by what he termed as evil forces.
Sunday, tukiwa furaha, si mlituona? Lakini sasa hapo katikati, na ndio vizuri tuambiane ukweli, shetani ambaye hata hajui kazi hiyo tulianzisha namna gani, wanakuja wanasema sasa unajua sasa nyinyi mkienda hivyo mmejitangaza, unajua sasa wazungu hawatatupatia pesa.
Uhuru said he decided to pen the deal due to his love for this country.
Sasa moto wakati uliwaka namna hiyo, ikasemekana sasa hapana, unajua sasa wewe ambia ndugu yako aondoke kwa hiyo kiti, wewe uchukue hiyo mpatie mwingine ndio Kenya iweze endelea. Nikauliza, kazi hiyo yote wenzangu ambaye tumefanya, nawezaje kwenda kuambia mwenzangu awache, hata ataambia watu yake nini? Nikamwambia kama mambo ni mrama namna hiyo mnasema, afadhali ya kwenda kwa ndugu yangu nimwambie awache, afadhali mimi niwache.
Nimeuliza hapa na bado nitauliza mbele yako. Mimi niko na bibi na wengine wako nayo. Kama unaumwa au uko na homa, mtu akuambie ati kwa sababu ninasikia leo wewe mgonjwa, wote nikusaidie, utakubali?
The delegates plus MPs who were present here unanimously refused to acknowledge the deal between Uhuru and Mudavadi.
Inawezekanaje kufanya harusi bila madelegati? Heri niwe peke yangu. Heri niwe peke yangu.
The party, however, resolved to push its proposal for the delegate system of nominating the alliance flag bearer.
It is a tale of a coalition that has gone sour few weeks after it was crafted and deposited with the registrar of political parties. The marriage that now rocks. Enoch Sikolia, NTV, Nairobi.
Political scientists have time and again insisted that politics is a game of numbers and that elections are won or lost depending on the number of supporters a candidate has in a certain region. So could the March 4th general election have been won or lost as soon as the electoral body IEBC concluded the voter registration exercise in December? Political scientist Mutahi Ngunyi has a hypothetical look at what he calls the tyranny of numbers. And here are the figures.
And why we call this a tyranny of numbers is because this election was won actually on December 18th. That's when it was conducted in 1 month, and the results were announced on December 18th when IEBC closed the numbers, the voter registration, and said the following number of people have been registered. And some people slept through registration as they were doing razzmatazz on the streets, doing their rallies, while as others actually schemed through registration. That's the reason why some communities have registered very, very big numbers, and others have registered almost inconsequential numbers. And as a result, you can see that some community will actually tyrannize, if there is any word like that, the other communities during the voting process.
Ngunyi, in his hypothetical analysis based on the raw numbers of the registered voters, suggests that the Jubilee coalition has a head start since the two main regions considered to be its main support base, that is the Mount Kenya region and Rift Valley, have the highest number of registered voters as compared to the areas where CORD is perceived to enjoy its largest support, that is Nyanza and parts of Eastern.
The difficulty in this election is not who will win or who will lose. The difficulty in this election is in ensuring, especially for Raila, that Jubilee does not win this election round one. And I say so because when you look at the 50 plus 1% threshold, which is 7.1 million votes, and you look at the Jubilee support, which is 6.2 million votes, they are short of the threshold by only 980,000 votes, if voting will be 100%. Whereas if you look at the CORD, they are at 2.8 million, ethnic blocks being the Kamba and the Luo, 2.8 million votes only. The difference is 4.3 million votes to reach the 50 plus 1%, which therefore means that CORD has to work 4 times more than Jubilee to be able to reach that particular threshold.
Ngunyi argues that historically, Kenyans vote on ethnic lines and that the March 4th presidential contest may be no exception.
No matter what strategy he applies now, it is late for him because the election was won a long time ago. His only strategy for now is not to try and break into those strongholds, as it were, but to try and stop these guys from winning round one. And he has to do that by ensuring that the CORD fellows come out to vote to the last man. Because if voter turnout is low in the CORD areas, the chances of Raila becoming number 3 are very high. Musalia Mudavadi could just become number 2. And that would provide for serious political comedy, in my view, which would also be very pathetic. It's because he slept through the evolution.
And looking at the voter registration figures across the country, Ngunyi argues that the crimes against humanity charges that Kenyatta and Ruto face at the ICC could have been the driving force in the voter registration turnout in the Jubilee strongholds.
The House of Gema in particular was annoyed when they went to register. They registered with fujo. IEBC expected them to register a certain number. They hit that number and went beyond. Because almost all the Kikuyu strongholds and the Embu and the Meru strongholds are at 100% plus. Kiambu alone is at 113%. Others are 104, 109. And the same thing in the Kalenjin areas. And I think the ICC is what drove these people. You know, the desire to protect their own. And that's why the record must reflect that if Uhuru becomes president and Ruto his deputy, it is because of Kofi Annan. The Annan process and the ICC process are what then cost everybody, the ethnic groups, to regiment around their own as a way of protecting them. And I think this is what these figures are telling us.
Opinion pollsters have consistently ranked Odinga as the man to beat in the March 4th race to State House.
If he continues to delude himself through the polls that he's ahead, and he fails to pay attention to the raw figures on the ground and work with them, he will slip through this election. What he must do, in my view, is that he must work very hard to stop Uhuru and Ruto from winning round one. That should be his only strategy, because then that will give him an opportunity to get into the runoff, and it will help him regroup with the other groups, the other communities, and do a good fight during the runoff.
Critics of Ngunyi's hypothesis have argued that there will be many dynamics that will influence the March 4th presidential outcome, and that not all people from Kenyatta's, Ruto's and Mudavadi's communities will vote in one defined direction. Ultimately, it's the 14.3 million registered voters who will have the final say on who becomes Kenya's 4th president on March 4th at the ballot. Francis Gashori, Citizen Live at 9.
Wapi makofi kwa ridiculous mabibi na mabwana.
Asante. Halo. Miaka 50 iliyopita, leo tunasherehekea 50 years. Na hiyo miaka 50, 27 ni zangu mimi mwenyewe. Nilisema Moi ni mtu anaona mbele. Mukasema Moi. Nikasema kijana ndio huyu, na sasa ndio huyu. Na mara kwa mara katika magazeti, katika maredio, miaka iliyopita nilisema Kenya is a sovereign state. Mnasema mzungu. Kwa hayo machache, Mungu awabariki. Na Uhuru Kenyatta, nitumie mpesa yangu na ya kutoa pia. Mungu awabariki. One more. Nimeona hata Mheshimiwa Kabila amecheka kwa sababu amesikia ngoma kutoka nyumbani.
Closer home now, President Uhuru Kenyatta began his Rift Valley tour with a no-nonsense message to Jubilee members from the region. His deputy, William Ruto, was forced to revert to his mother tongue as he also dressed down youthful leaders who have openly criticized the government.
Mheshimiwa Rais,
the Jubilee top two decided not to wait till the small fires in the Jubilee House blow out of control. And the man who has been among the loudest and the most daring among the disgruntled URP members took the stage to repeat his sentiment in the presence of the bosses.
Hapo mbeleni watu walikuwa nadhani ni maneno ya Mheshimiwa Ketere. Ni maneno ya wananchi ambao mnaona siku ya leo. Wananchi, Mheshimiwa Rais, wanataka serikali yetu itimize ile ahadi ambayo tuliwaambia siku zile.
This outlined the very reason the Jubilee leadership chose to go to Eldoret, and the party members did not shy away from taking the matter head on.
Kuna vitina kwenda kwa kaunti yako, kwenda sema hivi. Watu wanatuita vijana, lakini tumekuwa siasa miaka mingi. Na tunajua vile mambo yanapelekwa. Mimi naomba vijana wale waliingia juzi mweke break kidogo, mko na mengi ya kusoma. Kusema maneno ni kusema na kutenda. Lini mkabadilisha ikakuwa ni kusema na kelele? Kwani mlibadilisha wakati mimi ninaenda safari ya hivi mkabadilisha ati ni kusema na kelele?
Jubilee's top leadership in the National Assembly and the Senate sprang to the defense of the president and his deputy, the majority leader in the National Assembly, Eden Duale, taking the opportunity to answer back to URP governors who have been on his neck over his remarks that rebels should be disciplined.
Na msipoteze. Msijaribu kupoteza watu wetu. nani? Unapewa pesa kidogo, unataka kupoteza watu wetu. We will not allow you to mortgage our people.
Ningependa kuambia wale vijana kuja tu polepole. Hiyo tu. Na ukipata kama umeoa hivi karibuni na mama asaye miezi 6 hivi, ujue huyo mtoto sio wako.
Lakini sasa tukianza kugombana hadharani, unafikiri wale wengine wanafurahia? Wanafurahia, hao wengine wanafurahia.
Wagojee miaka 10, Uhuru amalize kazi yake, alafu wagojee miaka ingine 10, Ruto amalize kazi yake. Alafu sasa wakitaka watakuja sasa waunde yao ambayo watakuja kusema ni nani atakuwa ndani, nani atakuwa nje.
Hapana ya kufanyia mtu mmoja ati kwa sababu mimi sikupata nitasponsor fulani alafu wapige nyinyi. Tafuta wengine bwana ya kutisha. Hapana, sisi tuachana na hiyo kabisa. Hiyo msao.
The afternoon meeting was held at the Eldoret Sports Club shortly after the president and his deputy held a closed-door meeting with elders from the North Rift. It has been the president's 5th visit in the county of Uasin Gishu since his election into government, a visit that saw the president clarify that the Jubilee government has not sidelined the region, a notion that he has termed as cheap politics. Marcy Kandiye, KTN, Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County.
Renegade Nandi Hills parliamentarian Alfred Keter has blasted President Uhuru Kenyatta's 2-day visit of Rift Valley. Keter claims the visit was aimed at gagging him from questioning the tendering process of the standard gauge railway. The Nandi Hills MP still insists the multi-billion shillings project will cost nearly 3 times the real value of the project. Keter faulted President Kenyatta's administration for being intolerant to dissent.
We cannot lose money in the name of trying to create employment because we need money. You see, in the wage bill, the only reason why we want to reduce the wage bill is because we want money for development. How can you then lose 400 billion in the name of trying to generate employment? Those are some of the questions we should be asking ourselves. When you raise these issues, the whole government goes to your constituency or your county to oppose you or to try and gag you or to try and frustrate your efforts of trying to make sure Kenyans have value for their money. They came the other day to my county, but they didn't realize the bosses are the common mwananchi. And they came and realized. The whole government came there. Number one, is that constitutional? Was law followed or it was flawed? That was the question number one on that end. Question number two, why are we losing 400 billion? Why is it that when it is in Korea, they construct 1 kilometer of a railway using $2 million? Why are you using $6 million US, 3 times the price? I needed those questions to be answered in that podium. But they took a lot of time to insult me.